Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to day 7 of the Advent of Cyber event. So today we're going to cover basically looking at logs. We're going to cover how to filter logs, things like that. Now I will tell you, I think this is a really good skill because there are times where you have to do this on individual machines. But if any of you have ever worked in a large corporation or even a small mid corporation, most companies use a SIM now, or SIEM, whatever you want to call it. And they are easier to use, but they still require filtering capabilities and understanding how logs are ingested. So make sure you take this one a little bit more serious because this one is a little bit more realistic. So let's go ahead and hop into it. Before we get started, guys, hit that like button, hit that sub button. Thank you guys so much for hitting that 10K this year. I actually blew past my goal. My goal was 5K, so that's incredible. Thank you guys so much. Let's dive into it. So first things first, this is they're using Squid. Okay, if you guys have never used Squid, it's a free open source tool proxy. You can see here this is how the log looks. Okay, that's what they're showing you. They're showing you, hey, here's the log. The field is the first one, source IP address, so that's the first field. Then you have the timestamp, boom. Then you have the HTTP request, so what the actual request is. Was it a GET request, a POST request? What was it? Then you have the status code, boom, and then you have the user agent. Now here, the user agent they took out, and it looks like just because, oh no, they didn't, it's just curl, I'm sorry. So then you have the user agent. Now, this is how a proxy works. It's important that you know how it works because it'll help you understand exactly how these logs are coming in. So the first thing is, here's without a proxy, right? If you're just right now going to google.com, you just connect to google.com. Simple, right? Just you, Google. A proxy sits right in the middle. So you say, hey, I want to go to Google. Well, if you don't want Google tracking you, or you don't want Google knowing who it's coming from, whatever, you send it to a proxy first. That proxy then takes that same request and sends it to Google as them. So what that means is Google sees it as this proxy server is sending me a request. They don't know it's a proxy server. They just see it as an IP is sending me a request. It never goes back to you. It goes back through the proxy and then back to you. So it kind of prevents certain things. It also allows logging. Most companies do this. It allows them to control traffic a little bit better. So now here we go. Given that our task is hunting suspicious activity, we need to know what possible malicious activity can be seen inside one. So here's some of the things that can be seen. Download attempt of malicious binary. So if you see malicious.exe, right, and you can see they actually URL defang these so that you can't accidentally click on them, which is perfect. You can see here high count data exfiltration. So if you're trying to exfil data, you're gonna see a huge uptick in bandwidth, right? If nobody ever is doing this and then all of a sudden you have 500 gigabytes getting uploaded, pretty obvious something's getting exfilled, right? Then you have C2 connections. So if you're seeing a constant connection to one site, pretty easy to detect, and you can tell real fast that site is malicious, right? You can look that up. Now let's go ahead and hop into it. We are in the CD desktop artifacts. You can see that's where they stored this file. When you actually open the machine they used, it'll be in this artifacts. And someone in the comments let me know, I'm not crazy, right? That's not how you spell artifacts. I didn't look it up. I just want to know. That's not how you spell artifacts. Unless, maybe it's European, I'm not sure. Because I know TryHackMe's in the UK, so maybe it's European. Let me know. But first off, so here we go. So here they're showing you can just cat the access log, so we'll do that. And you can look at it. It's going to take a while because it is a big file. You can see, boom, you're just getting all kinds of data. So you can see you could sit there and look at all of them if you wanted to, but there is a lot in here. So then they're showing you can use less to see just less of it, basically. You know what I mean? You'll be able to scroll through it. You can see head. That's just going to show you the top first line. The reason it's going to show you the top first lines, they have number 1. You can see tails. That's going to show you the bottom. And usually these are in time-stamped order, so if you see the bottom, you're going to see the last log entry. Now you can see word count. They're going to show you, hey, how many entries are there? There's 49,000. So yeah, you're not going to sit here and read through these. Maybe you will. I don't know. I don't know what you get doing with your time. All right, so chopping down the proxy log. So this is good information. This is how you want to start anytime you're looking at a log. Always start with how is it formatted, right? Well, they're giving it to us. The first field is timestamp. Second field is source IP. Third field, domain and port. You can see domain and port. Fourth field is the method. Fifth field is the URL. Sixth field is the status code, which is right there. Where is it? Okay, there it is. 400. Sixth field, seventh field is the response size. Right here, 400. Sorry, the status code 400, the response size 630, and then the user agent, which is this Mozilla Firefox, blah, blah. It's important we know these, and they actually laid it out in position for you, which is nice, but normally you're not going to see 1 through 8, but you need to know 1 through 8 if you're going to use this method to actually go through the logs. So you can see they're using the cut method. So they're saying cut TAC D. TAC D stands for delimiter, and delimiter here, they just put a space. So anytime there's a space, it's going to cut it. So that's field 1, cut because there's a space. Field 2, cut because there's a space. Field 3, cut because there's a space, and so on and so forth. So you can see here they're choosing cut, space, delimiter. They're saying field 1, 3, and 6. That's all they want to see. Well, now you can see field 1, they're getting just this, the timestamp. Field 3, they're getting the website. And you can see if we go back here, field 3, domain and port. And then field 6 is they're getting the status code. So that's all they're getting. They're getting the timestamp, the website, and the status code. Now, that would be a nice one if you're just trying to see what's going on, right? Quick look. Let's see the status codes, see what websites people are accessing. Now, we're going to get a little bit more involved in that. You can see here, they said, oh, they're just showing you the user agent. The user agent, you have to change it, the delimiter, because look, the user agent has spaces in it. So if you didn't do, if you just use the delimiter of space, every time it hits this one right here, it's going to go ahead and say done. That's the end of that field. So what they're using is they're using the delimiter of the quotes. And the reason they're doing that is because it's in quotations. So now it will actually stop at this quote and say that's the field. So there you go. You see they say cut, delimiter, quotes, and then give them the second field, and boom. You got Mozilla Firefox. You got the whole thing. So now we're going to show how to do this with Linux pipes also. And it's important that you guys know pipes. Pipes are huge in Linux, they're especially in cybersecurity. So we're going to use grep. Grep is a search feature in Linux if you don't know. So they're grepping for this specific IP, which just means they're searching for it in the access log. Looks like they've got it, and then it says redacted for brevity, so that means there's probably a lot of them. So then they're grepping it, but they're saying, hey, give us just the top 5. I don't want to look at all of them. So they put a pipe here. So what a pipe does is it says search for this IP in access log, and then pipe, feed it into this command. And this command is head number 5. So it's saying feed the results into this command, and then this command is look at the top 5. So now they're showing us a little bit more here. They're showing us they're using cut, delimiter, space, exactly what we talked about. Then they're looking at the access log. So they're showing just the third field, which is just the websites. So then they're going to cut, and you notice they put another cut in here, and they put the colon. The reason they did that is because if you look at the logs right here, it shows the port. They didn't want the port. Okay, doesn't really matter if you have the port, in my opinion, but they didn't want the port. So that's fine. So now we're going to say the next one they're showing is cut, delimiter, space, field 3, which is the website, access log, cut. They got rid of the colon. They didn't like that, and then they sorted it, okay? So this arranges it in alphabetical order. So you can see account is the first one. Perfect. Then unique. Unique will actually get rid of all duplicates. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you don't sort it and you try and use unique, it will show duplicates, okay? So just make sure you sort it first. All right, so let's keep going. So now we've got cut, delimiter, space, blah, blah, blah. So now it's saying display the connection count. So now what they're doing is they're doing the same thing, cut, delimiter, showing just the website, right? Access log, then they're getting rid of the port, then they're sorting it, then they're doing unique to get rid of duplicates, then they're saying count them. How many times do they show up? Now, you can see account.activedirectory.windowsazure.com show up 423 times. So that's well, that's not the most, 680 here for admin. So it's showing you the count of how many times it showed up in that file, which means that's how many times someone accessed it. Now, here we can say, okay, we're doing the same thing. We counted it, and then we sorted it from the number of lowest to highest, okay? So now they're saying sort, and then put a number, or use the number to sort it. So how many highest to lowest or lowest to highest? And you can see you do R for the opposite to switch them. So now if you do R, the highest is at the top. So you can see they just did in R for, I don't know what it actually stands for, but I'm going to say for reverse. Works for me. Easy to remember. Okay, so then they do the same thing, but then they pipe it into tail in 10, so they only see the bottom 10, which in this case they did the number from highest to lowest, so the tail would be the highest. Boom. All right, we got what we need now to actually start going through, and then at the end they're showing you something that I'll cover more in depth. So how many unique IP addresses are connected to the server? Unique IP addresses, okay, are connected to the proxy server. So for here, all we have to do is go back up to the fields. Boom. Okay, and we need the source IPs. Okay, so that's field 2. So unique IPs. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go all the way back here. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're just going to cut and look at cut space, use the delimiter space, and then we're going to just look at the field 2 because that's what we want to make sure. I always do this. Some people will say this is a little bit excessive, and I understand. I always run the command before I start filtering because I want to make sure I'm actually looking at the right results before I write the whole thing out and then be like, what am I getting? I want to make sure. Okay, so I'm getting IPs. That's what I want. I want how many unique IP addresses are connected. Okay, so now we'll go all the way back. Okay, now you see we put unique, but you have to sort it first. So you have to say, okay, we want there we go. We got to sort it first. Okay, so we say sort, and then there you go. You got unique. So these are unique ones. Now you can add one thing to this. You can actually pipe it into word count, tac L, to list how many word or how many lines there are. Now here we can obviously count, but if you had a large amount, you can just do word count tac L, and you'll see we get 9. There's your answer, 9. Now you can see what we did for that command is cut delimiter, space is the delimiter, the field is 2, so the second field, which is the IP address in the access log. Then we pipe that and we sort it. So it's going to sort from highest to lowest basically. Then unique, we want to get rid of all of the ones that are saying like this IP right here, 10, 10, 116, 67. I don't want to see it 52 times, right? Get rid of it, show it to me once. Then we said, okay, now tell us how many lines there are. And there's 9 lines. Now, how many unique domains were accessed by all the workstations? Well, we already did the IPs. This is pretty easy, right? We just do the same thing, but we change the field. So we'll say, okay, so now we want field 3, right? So here you don't have to do the cut D that they did for the semicolon. You'll just get the ports if you don't. So now we said cut D. Well, look at that. We're getting all these different domains. So we already know what to do here. We just did it. So now we say word count tac L. How many do we get? 111. So for this one, we just went through. We said cut, delimiter, space, same thing as before. Field 3 now. We changed the field to 3 because that's where the domain name is, or the URI. Then we have the access log, which is what we're opening. And then we piped it into cut, delimiter again, and we cut the colon. All it is we want to get rid of that colon. We want to get rid of the ports. Not a big deal if you do it or not. Doesn't matter. But if you're feeding this into something, you may want to get rid of that. Then we said, okay, give us the first field, which is simple, the domain name. Then we sorted it. So now it's in alphabetical order. Then we said, get rid of anything that's duplicated. And then we said, how many is there after duplication or deduplication? 111. Perfect. Now, what status code is generated by the HTTP request to the least accessed domain? So this one is actually kind of get a little bit more involved, which I like. We're back to square one. Cut, delimiter, space, field 3, which is the domain. Okay. Now we want the status code. The status code is field 6. So we want field 3, and then we'll go over and we'll add 6. Perfect. So now we have the status code. You want the status code. Okay. And then now we want to sort. You're going to want to sort it. Then you're going to want to get rid of unique. Okay. And we can hit enter here and you'll see that we're getting this. Now, you see we get the status codes, but we need the number. So we need to know how many, because it's saying what status code is generated by the least accessed. So if we do that way, you can see we're going to get, all we added here was the sort. And we added the sort with the number. See, I hit enter, it's not doing anything. There we go. So we hit sort by number. Now, this is backwards, right? Because we're getting the highest number first. We want the lowest number. So we say in R for reverse, if you remember. Okay, now this is the least accessed. Okay, now that's fine. We've got the least accessed, but we don't have the status code. You see that? We just have the number of least accessed. So the reason for that, maybe. Okay, so we got field 3 and field 6. We'll get rid of this. The reason for that is this extra cut in here. Okay, and now we remember it's this one. Now the reason I say that it's important to have the port is because if you didn't have that port, if you cut that port out, you would still see these ones. And you'd say, oh, well, those are the least ones, right? Those are the least. Well, remember, it's at HTTP, not HTTPS. So that's why it's 503. Sorry that one was confusing, guys. The box was really freezing up on me. And as I was trying to do stuff and talk, I was getting jumbled because it was taking me off. Okay. So now, based on the high count of connection attempts, what's the name of the suspicious domain? Well, we can do the same thing we just did. Just take out the R, because then we'll see the top. And then you can see right here, Frostling's Big Bad Stash.thm. Now, why is that the suspicious domain? Well, the rest of them make sense. Login, Microsoft Office, blah, blah. That's the only one that's like odd, and it's thm.com. Or .thm, excuse me. So now what is the source IP of the workstation that accessed the malicious domain? So now we need to find out what the source IP field is. And if you look up here, source IP field is 2. So we go back down. So the source IP field we need to use, which is 2. So in this last one we used 3 and 6. Now we need to use 2. Okay, so now we're going to use 2 and 3, because if you look up here, 2 is obviously the source IP, and 3 is the domain and port, because we need to know which one are they accessing. And you can see, I'm going to show you the way I did this. So we did cut, delimiter, space, that's just standard for these logs. Then we're going to say field 2 and 3. We want the source IP and the domain that they're accessing. Then we said sort it. Then we unique, so we get rid of the duplicates, and then we said sort it by number. So the lowest or the highest number down here is this 1581. That is the source IP, and that is our malicious website. Now, you could do this differently. You could have sorted it, did unique, and then grepped it for this domain and still got that. But we knew it was the most accessed website, or one of them. So what we did, or the least access, I'm sorry. So what we did is we said, there you go, there's your IP, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now we said how many requests were made on the malicious domain. Well, we already have that in here. Boom, 1581, because we did that taxi. Remember, taxi does count. So unique taxi gives us the count. So I always keep that in there if I'm doing something like this, because it never hurts to have more information unless you're just getting a plethora. So I just keep doing the same command. They teach you that you don't have to, but I always do. Now, having retrieved the exfiltrated data, what is the hidden flag? Now, this is the piece that they were showing earlier, and I'll show you what they're doing. So what they're doing is, and I didn't cover it earlier because I didn't want to confuse you guys, but what they're doing is, all right, we'll do this. So what they're doing is we're looking at the requests, and I'll show you. I'm just going to do this so that you can see them. Whoops, I already decoded it. I don't want it decoded already. And it'll be easier once you guys see it. Okay, so what we did, if you look at the command, is we grepped. So we just searched for this frostlings.bigbadstash. Okay, we knew there was going to be 1,581 requests. So we know we're not going to be able to read these. Okay, and then the access.log, we did that. Now we cut it and we looked at the space, and we did field 5. Field 5 is, if you look, HTTP URI, so this is the URI they're going to, okay? Well, we cut it, and then we got rid of the equal sign. So let's not get rid of the equal sign real fast, and you'll see why. So we cut it, and we just look at what are they going to? What's the URL they're going to? Well, look at this. Storage.php goodies equals. So this tells me right away they're exfiltrating data. The reason that is because if they're going to this website that many times, they're putting a parameter in here, and it's encoded. You can tell it's encoded. There's a parameter here. So they're sending data out, but they're doing it by sending it to this website as a parameter or as a field that the website understands. So what we need to do is decode that and see what are they sending out. So all we did was pipe it. Now we added this delimiter of equals because we want to get rid of this because it's not base 64 decoded. It won't understand. So we're going to say base 64 we're going to say cut delimiter equal signs. Boom, get rid of that, and then go to field 2, which would be this one. Then we're going to say base 64 decode. Base 64 tac D, decode it. Let's see what they're exfiltrating. Okay, looks like Noah, play vet clinic set. So it looks like they're exfiltrating what everybody's getting for Christmas. So that's not good. So what we can do now is it says, having retrieved the exfiltrated data, what's the hidden flag? Now remember, there's 1,500 requests. You could go through them all if you want, but do another pipe, say grep, and all of TryHackMe's flags are capital THM. Grep for it. Boom. So now, here you go. They actually exfiltrated SOC analyst, TryHackMe, a gift for an awesome analyst. There is your flag. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Messing around with things like this, it actually will help you a lot with understanding how logs are also used. It also helps a lot of people get confused on the cut commands. Cut is a very easy command to use once it clicks in your head. Okay, what I mean by that is once you realize that all it's asking you to do is define what the delimiter is. What's the breaking point for the cut, right? And once you do that, then it's just what fields you're in. So it's pretty easy to use, but you got to actually take your time, mess with it. So I recommend going through this box, messing around quite a bit. If the box is freezing up on you like that, maybe restart it. I probably should have restarted it and everything, but the box there for a while was kind of unresponsive. Hopefully it doesn't do that for you guys, but hopefully you guys like this box. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, and hopefully you guys are still doing the Advent of Cyber and have a great day. Thanks.